I'm joined now by one of the heroes of Kerala, an Indian Navy pilot who loves his job, a Shourya Chakra winner, Captain P. Rajkumar. Thanks very much, sir, for being with us. We're going to be playing out pictures, video actually, of you making a daring rescue where you rescued a paraplegic woman. Can you tell us about this dramatic rescue that we are seeing? Why was this particularly difficult?
Vishnu, so as you can see on the video, there was hardly any place for me to, rescue this unfortunate woman from there was a small little opening in the terrace, and it was on the both sides had two different levels of roof. So the aircraft had to be kept at a very, very steady hover. Only then the winchman could, even attempt to rescue this paraplegic woman so that there are no injuries which he can can be caused to her. So it is very difficult and extremely crucial for me for the entire crew to be very, very steady there and pull off this rescue.
Captain, there was another mission that you were involved in where you landed your Sea King, which is not a small helicopter by any definition of the word, on top of a building. Why did you do that?
No, I think that you mixed the fire. I didn't land on the roof. I had to stay in hover. It was the helicopter which landed on the roof was flown by someone else, Lieutenant Commander Abhijit Garud. I had to stay in a very low hover to pick up a total of 26 people onto the Sea King helicopter.
And sir, the Sea King helicopter is designed to carry how many people? Normally, how many people would you carry?
The 42 Bravo, the variant which I was flying, is normally used for the anti-submarine warfare. So it's a crew complement of 4. That is 2 pilots fly in the front cockpit and 2 observers fly in the rear cockpit as the weapon sensor officers. And it's very hard. Rarely we use it for any passenger purposes. Of course, it can very well do the work as far as SAR is concerned, but for a very, very limited number of people. Definitely not the kind of people that we picked up during this unfortunate incident here.
What was going into your mind, Captain, when you were pulling out person after person after person and putting them into a very old helicopter? Many of these Sea Kings are 30 years old or so. What, as a pilot, as a senior officer, as a captain, were you thinking about in this mission?
There is hardly anything to think at that moment. I was actually coming back with about 15 people on board. I had picked up from another location and I was returning. And that is when I saw this frantic waving from one of the rooftops. The weather was bad. It was late afternoon and there was rain, and the clouds didn't allow me to have that kind of visibility. So I maneuvered the helicopter down below. I didn't know at that time, frankly, how many people were there. Since I already had about 15 people on board, I realized that there were hardly any time left. If somebody needs to be saved, this was the only opportunity before the sunset. So when we came to hover, that is when my crew, the winchman, the diver went down, and then to our surprise, we realized there are 11 people, on that roof. Obviously, I couldn't leave anyone behind because that was sheer death, because the next launch would only be the next day. So I had to stay there and hover, extremely difficult conditions while it was raining, and winch up one after the other. I must thank the entire crew who was flying with me. It is never a one-man's effort. Unless you have a competent crew who can pull this off, it's hardly any that I single-handedly achieved this.
And one final word, Captain, for the maintainers of these helicopters, because you fly a helicopter that is fully operational, but to get it operational requires several hours of work before every sortie. So tell us about that team contribution to actually get these operations, these rescues happening.
It's notwithstanding the fact that the aircraft is old, but it's an amazing aeroplane. It's been an old workhorse. It has proved beyond time and again to be of immense value to our service. And when an occasion like this came up, and as all of us would always trust the mighty old Sea King, it rose to the occasion. I must put in a word here about the kind of effort, the kind of mobilization what the Indian Navy has done towards this unfortunate times that we have. There is not a single avenue of the Indian Navy which is not involved in this. Whether it is the divers, whether it was the aeroplane technicians, whether there was the ATC people, whether there was the ground party that was sent. And you can name it. Flying probably in the cockpit would have been an easier task compared to the mammoth task which the others were doing on the ground. You can well imagine it was a melee of aircrafts flying around in such marginal conditions, and to make sure that the aeroplanes are available in time, and to turn around the aircraft, load the food and water, and make sure that everything happens without a mistake. It's hats off to those people who stayed on the ground and helped us to fly these missions.
And Captain, thank you so much for speaking with us today, and congratulations to you and your crew for doing what you trained so hard to do, and to actually save lives. What could be better and more commendable for anybody in our country, whether you're in uniform or not in uniform. Thank you, Captain, very much indeed. Well, there are a lot of people who've been absolutely exceptional on the ground, and as much as the captain over there and his crew and many from the Navy saved the lives of thousands, there were many in the National Disaster Relief Force, many in the Coast Guard, many in the Air Force, and many in the Army who did incredible work. But the point of this program is also to showcase the role of civilians, and I'm joined at this stage by someone very special. Mesh Manoharan is into adventure sports. He is somebody who runs an adventure sports center, as it were, in Kerala, and he joins us now. Mesh, you have a water sports facility, right?
Yes, we are running a water sports facility in Cherai Beach, that is Cherai Water Sports.
And what were you able to do, because you saw the horror around you and you took your kayaks out during the floods. What were you able to achieve with that?
I live close to the river, and all my kayaks were in my facility, and I happened to see all people suffering and the water was rising. And at the beginning, what I did is I take a few people in my home to in a safe place. But when the water level came too higher than expected, I sent them off from there with the Navy boats, and we help Navy people with my kayak.
And how many people were you able to rescue on your kayak?
Around 70 people. That including old people and small babies.
That's remarkable. So a clarification, it's a two-man kayak that you're talking about, right?
Yes, I have a two-man kayak, and I got assistance from one of the guy who used to be rowing on a fisherman boat. So yep. I take him also. Then so I able to launch two kayaks.
Were there lots of currents in the water? How difficult was it to actually get into these areas?
The water was very fierce, and it was very fast flowing, and there were a lot of floating or snakes and other insects flowing along the water. So it was very difficult situation.
And you didn't think twice about doing this despite the snakes and the currents in the water? What made you just go out and do this? I mean, it could have cost you your own life.
Yeah, the area we operate, that is Chendamangalam village. Usually in this area there are a lot of vipers, and when the water rising, I count more than 10 or 12 vipers floating, and scorpions and all kind of insects. Now, whatever they live in the floor, in the sand, in the soil, either they climb up on the trees or they start floating. So it was a bit a difficult situation. We have floating snakes and all these insects, and a lot of bushes. That make us very difficulty to reach the interior part of the house, isolated houses inside.
And once you did manage to rescue all of these people, where did you take them? Were there camps close by, or did you have to travel a long distance?
That was a very, I mean, we have only a picture that what happening close to us. And then later on we find out what it is. It's about 3-4 kilometer area. There were only one small highland, that is a top of a bridge over a river, a small river. So we drop the people there. From there, the Navy take the people to the next next point, and from there they taken to the third boat, and on the third boat they land to the end to the roadside where they can get a transport.
All right, well, Mesh, thank you so much for your service in saving the lives of so many people. More than 70 people you were responsible in saving. The courage that you showed and the skill which you evidently have in operating that kayak in those areas, in those currents, despite the snakes and whatever else, it's just unbelievable. So 2 examples over there. The first example of a senior Navy officer, and here's somebody, a civilian with just his kayaks, but determined to actually help. What about some other civilians over there? I'm joined now by Elsa Suresh. Elsa is only 18 years old. She's studying zoology in Thrissur. Elsa, thank you very much for speaking to us. Now, I'm told your house was flooded, belongings in your house were completely ruined, they'd moved away. Why, despite all of this, did you choose to help people in a particular camp?
I felt it was really the smallest thing I could do for the people suffering. I left my home the morning the flood started, and 2 days after that, that is on Sunday, my aunt, that is my father's sister, and her husband showed interest to go to a stadium nearby where they were packing the things that were to be taken to a camp. So I was already inspired by the thousands of posts about civilians helping each other. For the past few days, each and every person in Kerala was either helping or being helped. So even though I lost everything in my house, I thought I should help those people, because that's what people do. They help each other even when they lose some things.
And Elsa, what was the work that you were doing in this relief distribution center?
Actually, we were allowed to do anything we wanted, but for better organization, they gave us clothes. They were bringing huge bags of new clothes, new and all sorts of clothes. Trucks of them coming continuously to the stadium. It really made my eyes filled with joy, because it's great when people help each other. And we had to sort those clothes into clothes that could be used to be worn, and clothes that couldn't be used. And the clothes that couldn't be used were used for cleaning later. That's what I did there. And there were many others who were separating grains, proportioning them and making them into bags. It was a great experience there.
Elsa, one final question to you. You're only 18 years old, and you were confronted by this horrific situation, the floods. You've lost so much in your own home. It must have been, or it must be, a very emotionally draining experience for you to have seen how people have suffered and to have gone through what you did.
It really was. I don't know how I should express what I feel. I went to my home day before yesterday, and I was totally wrecked by what I saw. All the furniture's in a pile in a corner, all my books totally underwater, clothes, everything. I think we lost everything in the home. And at least we have a home to stay. If we clean it, hopefully, which we can fast, if we clean it, we'll at least be able to stay there. But I know there are many around me who have even lost their homes. So it must be a really hard time for them. I know how hard it is for me, so it must be harder for them.
Elsa, thank you very much for speaking to us, and it's great to be speaking to a brave young woman who's decided to help others even when you seem to have lost so much. Elsa, thank you very much. And finally, one more example of somebody who's contributed in a very different form. Dr. KP Hussain is an Indian doctor in the United Arab Emirates. When this tragedy broke, he decided to travel to Kerala, he decided to go around many camps, and he decided to open up with his help. That help came in the form of 5 crore rupees. At a time like this, when so much is being said of the need for more money in Kerala, here is a shining example of one man who didn't think twice before opening up his wallet, as it were, and letting people have access to his funds. Doctor, thanks very much for being with us. Firstly, when you traveled from camp to camp, what did you see? How bad was the situation? Or was there a sense of relative calm, of people accepting the problems that they faced, and of a system which a lot of us felt worked better than in other disaster zones across this country?
Yeah, in fact, indeed, what I decided to meet the people, the reason because these are the things from outside we can only watch from the TV. Once I decided to donate in such a thing happening in Kerala, I cannot sit at home. Although what happened it is, 15th, I was here for one marriage, and then evening I left. I often travel here. But then what happened it is, the announcement after that, what I thought of meeting the CM and followed by health minister, health secretary, all that. Each camp, what I have seen is, it's horrible because the people who are living there, I thought it is the 5th day I am visiting there, that is yesterday and day before. Then I thought they will be able to go back. In fact, when I asked them, they said we went some of their house, but then the whole house is to be rebuilt. Many of them they said. Then some of them they said, I cannot do it during this time. Maybe I have to stay 1 month or more than 1 month. Then only I am able to say something we can clear it, because many of the place, especially the Chenganur where I went first, and then followed by other place, people they said we cannot go back to the place.
Okay.
And then we cannot live there.
Doctor, I must ask you one question, because you've contributed with 5 crore rupees. Was this 5 crores to the Chief Minister's fund? Was this 5 crore rupees to any NGOs? Because as an NRI, if you are to contribute, there's a huge controversy now on whether or not money from abroad can be brought in, or do you perhaps have an account over here in India which you can access as a PIO?
Yeah, myself, I am having already one of the the charitable trust, which is called Dr. KP Hussain Charitable Trust. Already we have been doing last 10 years out of this charitable trust. Created many dialysis center in this state, and that is accepted by the Kerala government as a charitable trust. But here it is now, the most important thing is people are crying, and people are they until yesterday they were having everything, and today nothing with them. So in such a situation now, we are not here to see how to serve. To serve the people is the most important thing. That's why I did 5 crores. Out of that 1 crore I have handed over 2 days before, and then followed by I visited the health minister and health secretary. They have formed many centers. The first one is as rescue and recouping, and then rehabilitation. So I think the first stage is almost getting over.
Right.
The second one is now, it's more important. The important thing is that when I look into the back days, 80s and 90s, we used to hear a lot of the natural disasters and flood related issues from Bangladesh. That's what we used to hear it. And then most important thing is epidemic.
Right, I take, Dr. Hussain, I take your point completely. There are so many concerns still as people stay in those relief camps, the danger of disease, which almost invariably follows the initial rescues itself. But Dr. Hussain, thank you so much for contributing, because that's something that's so important for people in the state.